So the other day, I went onto Twitter after work, and I noticed that several fans, like those behind the SatAM reduced, reanimated take on the Sonic Racer episode from season 1 of Sonic SatAM, which I highly recommend you check out, among others, were basically talking about, if not showcasing, a lot of comparisons, between the original showings, the original airings, if not the Shout Factory DVD distributing, of the complete series. They were comparing all that to, remasters, basically, basically more upscaled, upbeat, cleaned up versions of the episodes. And one episode in particular that SatAM Reduced was using was Sonic and Sally, a very popular season 1 episode, if not one of the more popular episodes of the show. And when I saw this, and I saw others kind of taking their own shots and kind of saying similar stuff, if not showing similar stuff, even Jacob Berkeley, the SatAM historian, doing the same thing. It got me thinking. It got me thinking to the fact that I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by this because I've said it. Sean McLean Zaranazarak said it. Richard Anthony Kunta has even mentioned it or even talked about it or alluded to it. It's not that hard, to put something like a standard definition show on Blu-ray, especially if Blu-ray has a better codec, AVC, and a better bit rate that would help make it look, just as good as to when it was first, aired on television back in 1993 and 1994. Also, I believe it's a message being sent to the likes of Chris Johnson and those aligned with Chris Johnson's thinking of it wouldn't be feasible to put SD on BD. This is a way of sending that message to them that, yeah, it is feasible. Yes, it can be done. It is financially successful. And, as a fan myself, I do appreciate seeing this. I do appreciate seeing this and all that because, to me, as I mentioned previously, it just, because, when I mentioned this previously, I think it was when I was showing, from Wildbrain's own YouTube channels, one of their own YouTube channels, the Sonic the Hedgehog one, by the way, I was showing that in the past year, they were basically upscaling, upconverting, I wouldn't say remastering, but basically upscaling, upconverting, cleaning up all the episodes of Sonic SatAM, up to a crisp 1080p. And true, they've re-uploaded these episodes numerous times. But here's the thing. The first time they uploaded them, 480p. Second time, testing waters at 720p up conversion. And then they finally decided, okay, that works. Let's see if we can do 1080p. And guess what? That works too. And obviously a lot of people love seeing, Wildbrain take the time and effort to, show that something like this can be, I guess you could say, I wouldn't say remastered, but basically aligned with the modern video format for today, or at least one of them anyway. So when I see people, like I said, SatAM Reduced and others like SatAM Historian and all of them coming out and making these comparisons, taking these shots and basically sending a message to Chris Johnson and his crew that think along the same lines as he does, that it wouldn't be feasible, to put SD on BD. To me, this is something that needs to be done no matter what the show is. Whether it's a Sonic show, a Mario Brothers show, Zelda, whether it's Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats, it doesn't matter. If Wildbrain themselves can go out of the way and say, let's remaster all these episodes to 1080p or 720p at the best, at the best that we can do, then there shouldn't be an issue whatsoever for a company like NCircle to do the same for the actual show itself on physical media. There shouldn't be an issue. There shouldn't be. And like I said in the video where I showed this comparison right off of Wild Brain's own Sonic the Hedgehog YouTube channel, I said there, I think I said this in there, that something feels amiss. Like something is just not clicking in the logic, in the logic aspect of things. Like I can understand where people like Chris Johnson would come from, had he said this back when Blu-ray first came around. I could understand that because no one really knew, if it could be done and how effective it could be done and all that. So, I could understand if he said that back then when Blu-ray was first coming around. I can understand where he's coming from back then. But Blu-ray has been around for over a decade now, if not more. And it's pretty much, taking the place not only of DVD, but it's doing what DVD used to do, if not better, and if not more, I guess you could say conveniently for the consumer. From a shelf space perspective, that is. Now, what's even more interesting about this too is not only do you have people like SatAM Reduced doing a comparison video using, like I said, one of the more popular episodes in the show, Sonic and Sally, to show that it can be done and there shouldn't be no excuses. Not only do you have people like SatAM Historian taking shots and making comparisons, not only do you have people like Sean McLean and Richard Anthony and others like myself coming out and basically showing showing visually that even people like Wild Brain can do that, have done this. So it's not, it's not impossible to be done from a physical media standpoint. You know what's also crazy? There's a lot of us, let's not kid ourselves, there's a lot of us that have 4K televisions in our house, right? There's a lot of us that have 4K televisions, we have 4K monitors, and attached to those 4K televisions, a majority of us have a 4K Ultra Blu-ray player, 4K UHD Blu-ray player. Some of us may even use the new consoles that we have from the Xbox One, the Xbox X/S, the PlayStation 5. We might use those as our UHD players. Or we have, like I said, just a UHD player, 4K UHD player individually. But whatever the case is, a majority of us nowadays have one, if not two, of those items each in our house. Maybe one 4K player and TV in our living room, and maybe one perhaps in the playroom, or maybe in one of the bedrooms, or whatever the case may be. We at least have a few of them in the house, right? And what's crazy is when UHD Blu-ray players came out, one of the biggest selling points was the backwards compatibility, not just with regular Blu-rays, but with DVDs. And that basically when you put them into the UHD player and you have it attached to a 4K television, it's going to make that DVD that at its highest format that it can handle, 1080i, I would assume, or 1080p, which I think is the highest. Some might say 720p at 60 frames per second, and that's probably more believable. But still, the selling point is it will take that average, let's say 720p at 60 frames per second DVD, or 720p DVD, and once you pop it in and play it, it'll make it look more crisper and clearer than it ever has. Why? Why? Because the technology has advanced to the point that the connection between the UHD player and the 4K television, the connection, they're sending a signal to each other. And they're sending not just a signal, but the the data and the transmission, if you will, to reconfigure the DVD's original 720 format, kind of reconfigure it into a UHD ultra high definition presentation on your television. Even though it's not remastering anything or anything like that, no, it's basically upscaling the image. So if you have technology like that, 4K UHD Blu-ray players and 4K UHD televisions that basically once connected could take something of a 720p DVD or a 480p DVD at the lowest, if you will, but clear as well, if it's a clear recording or presentation. If you could have them take something like that and basically through the signal transferring, upscale the image to where when you press display on your television remote, it says, it says maybe in the upper right corner, upper left corner or wherever, it says, the image is being showcased at 3040/20 by 2160p at 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second. And it's an image from a DVD being played on an Ultra Blu-ray player. It's like, if that is capable of doing something like that to transferring the signal, transmitting the signal and converting it, upscaling it, if you will, converting it, if you will, to a 4K signal that can be seen on your 4K television, then again, the obvious question is, what's the problem with Chris Johnson's answer here to people like Richard Anthony and others? What's the problem? What is it that we're missing? What is the logicness that we're missing in his statement? Because to me, it doesn't make any sense for him to say that when he himself should know that it is plausible, no matter what. Again, you have the technology out there where you place where you can place a regular DVD into a 4K Ultra HD player connected to a 4K television, and it will basically transmit that signal and upscale that image to 4K. Even to the point that if you have the picture options to utilize, and one of those picture options is dynamic, high dynamic range, if you will, HDR, and you choose that to go along with what you're watching, it makes the image look like it's brand new. It really makes it pop, if you will. You see more detail. You see more detail with the characters, more detail in the background. It feels like it got, I guess you could say, I wouldn't say a makeover, but basically it got like a fresh coat of paint. So if the technology, is there for even a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player and a 4K television connected, to make a regular, DVD or even Blu-ray look good, or even a regular DVD plus R or regular DVD minus R, recordable disc, if you will, look good, then what's the issue here? I don't see an issue, with putting content, SD content on Blu-ray. Because if Discotech the people there pretty much realize, hey, this is the future, that we need to go in, along with some of the major studios, then it's like, what's going on? It's like, what is going on, at NCircle that's preventing them from doing this? I mean, they are owned by Alliance Entertainment, which, by the way, if it's the same Alliance Entertainment that's behind the distributing of the new Iron Claw movie, which I am going to talk about later on, then obviously that Alliance Entertainment group is trying to set their standards high. And if they own Mill Creek and NCircle, then I think they would expect high quality themselves. So, so to me, again, you look at what I've you kind of take in what I just said, and you look at what I just said, and you're like, yeah, that does make sense. Technology is there to where even the players even the 4K players and televisions can make a regular DVD or recordable DVD look good, in 4K. So it just boggles my mind, and I'm sure it boggles a lot of people's mind as to why would he say something like that. I mean, even if he could see clear as day, WildBrain, as I mentioned earlier, is able to upconvert the episodes to 1080p on their own WildBrain Sonic the Hedgehog YouTube channel. So to me, as I said in that video I did the other day, I think this past Saturday, I should say, in that video I did this past Saturday morning, not only did I show that, yes, WildBrain themselves are doing this, they're upscaling the episodes, but I also think I said something along the lines that, there's something that feels like it's amiss. Like something feels, like it's like Chris Johnson and the people that side with him and believe in the same, process of thinking that he does. Obviously, they're not telling us everything. They are not telling us the whole truth. Because if they would told us the whole truth, maybe we'd be less angry with what's going on. Maybe we would be. Because when you think about it, ladies and gentlemen, hear me out. When you think about it, doesn't it feel kind of strange that, that outside of doing Sonic Underground, 10 episodes on 4 discs, which some people have said, is a better direction to go in, even though it still kind of squishes down the bit rate, if you will, for the episodes and all that. Isn't it kind of weird that they go from 4 discs with 10 episodes each for the 40 episode series to just 2 for a show that's even more beloved, if not more popular, than Underground ever was? You're trying to cram that all onto 2 discs, single layer at that. It's like, what happened? It's like, where did the train fall off the rails, if you will? Because it would be understandable, as I and others have pointed out, it would be more understandable if maybe you did 3 DVDs, 4 like Shout Factory did, to release the series on, but only 2? That's like saying, yeah, financially we can't afford a 3rd or 4th disc. It's like, what is going on here? Is this something they're not telling us? Because to me, it feels like there's something amiss. There's something amiss. And what could it be? We don't know. What could it be? We don't know. But I can say this. Hopefully, WildBrain comes out and asks the same questions. Because I'm not saying I'm sure about this, but I can almost guarantee they're seeing the reactions that fans are having, and they're not seeing what they did and they're probably going back and seeing what they did on their WildBrain Sonic the Hedgehog YouTube channel, and they're probably even asking what's going on here. It's like, why couldn't you just put this on Blu-ray like they're asking? We got the episodes here up converted to 1080. You could have used those. It's like you have to wonder what they're thinking, looking at this, because I can almost guarantee that the more they hear about the disgruntledness that the people have had about the 2-disc release, the more they're going to talk to NCircle, the more they're going to want to talk to people like Chris Johnson and ask what the heck is going on. So we'll have to see, but yeah, it seems that every fan so far is not only showcasing, but taking shots at what's going on, but they're also realizing that it not only can it be done, But they're also realizing the technology that's, in their possession right now can take an average DVD and upscale it to 4K on their television, by transferring the signal. And if that can be done, then why, and if WildBrain themselves can do it, then why can't NCircle? It's like, what is going on? It's like, what are they not saying to us? Because there is a gap in the so-called logicness that Chris Johnson has, when it comes to this. There is a logic gap, and hopefully we'll get an answer soon. I mean, if all they had to say is, look, financially we're not doing so well, and, we thought we could be able to do 3 or 4 Blu-rays, but we can't do that right, not Blu-ray, but DVDs for the show, but we can't do that right now, so we're only going to do 2, and if we do Blu-ray, it's going to be too expensive for us, might put us in debt and all that. At least if they could say that financially it's not feasible for them to explore right now, then that's understandable. We get it. But they didn't give us that answer. If they would have given us that, it'd be a different story. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Comment down below, live chat during the premiere, like the video, and until then, I am out.